Hello, everyone. I'm Colin Tessier of WrestleZone.com, joined by Robert DeFelice tonight to talk about Friday Night SmackDown. Robert, how you doing?
I'm great, Colin. How are you?
Doing pretty well. Glad to be back here on a Friday night. As we always say, schedule permitting, we try our best to be here on Fridays, but with GCW and a crowded world of wrestling, there's only so much we can do. But on this Friday night, it all works out, so here we are. And we're not going to talk last week about such fun things, Robert, as Goldberg coming back. I think last week was when we found out officially that Ronda Rousey would be challenging Charlotte Flair. So there is some stuff to catch up on and talk about, and stuff that played out tonight as well. So that being said, before we dive into all that stuff, just want to know this show, like everything we do here, is available on all of our platforms, SoundCloud, Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, all that fun stuff. You know what it is. So leave a like and subscribe. We appreciate you. So Robert, I might as well just dive right in. Goldberg.
Jump into it, Colin.
Goldberg is back. Not only is Goldberg back, Roman Reigns wants to Goldberg, producing one of the worst headlines I've ever written, because I use that as a direct quote, because he set it up, and I'm like, that's a bad quote, but it's a good one too. I don't know, but the fact is, Roman Reigns and Goldberg is happening 2 years after it was initially scheduled to, but COVID and pandemic and everything delayed all that stuff. So here we are, 2022, Roman Reigns, head of the table, facing Goldberg. One last hurrah, perhaps, for the man. Robert, what are you thinking about all this fun stuff? Especially, I should say, with the promo that Goldberg cut tonight, saying that this comeback is going to stick.
I hope it does. I certainly don't want his last match to take place in Saudi Arabia. I think
Americans... But they actually like him over there, Robert. They actually like him over there.
That's fair. But you know what? I think a live crowd likes Goldberg. I think when you're at home and you're just like, but golly gee, he's taking screen time away from Big E. You know, like I think that's when you don't like him. But at the end of the day, it's fun to watch him live.
I suppose. I mean, this one it's interesting because, as I mentioned, he got a promo saying that this comeback is going to stick. It's going to be everlasting. But of course, we know for quite a while now, he said in interviews, there have been reports, his WWE deal, supposedly this current contract, this will be his last match. And that does leave his future up in the air. Now, I'd have to imagine, at least as a pure prediction, yeah, I don't. You said you don't want this to be his last match, period. I have to imagine this won't be it.
I don't think this will be it.
Yeah.
But I do agree with your prediction. You haven't said it, and I agree. It will be Goldberg versus Brock Lesnar, title for title at WrestleMania 30.
I tweeted that. I was like, I know that they're trying to sell this match, but can you imagine, like, we're talking multiversal stuff here, like just this other universe where Goldberg does win, and they do have Goldberg face Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, because you can connect those dots, like based on some of the weird stuff we've seen. I could see shit hitting the fan and then saying, hey, it's Goldberg and Brock Lesnar, like that's a big match in 2022, right? Let's do that, because that's
honestly
fun.
Like if Brock was still WWE champion, I'd be like, that's the match I'd give Saudi.
Yeah,
they would probably appreciate that so much more than an American audience,
Yeah. But my problem with this, Robert, is the fact they already announced Reigns and Lesnar, so it just feels like we're biding our time, or we're maybe wasting our time, because like, other than a wild off the wall scenario like that, it's a pretty safe bet that Roman's gonna win. So like, it's hard to really.
Is it though?
That's like, Roman Reigns, though. It's not like not like the Fiend all over
it's
again.
Roman Reigns, but the Fiend was an unbeatable guy, and Goldberg walked into Saudi and he said, "Not anymore, you're not." Here's the thing: the month of February is very good to William Goldberg in championship matches.
It's true.
He beat Kevin Owens. He beat the Fiend. He could beat Roman. I don't put it past. Look, the truth is, I don't put anything past that company until the show's over.
Yeah, and that's where we're at these days. Some comments here, Brian, saying it'll be fun. It'll be a fun match. You mentioned it's fun to watch Goldberg live, so there is that to it. However you feel about it heading into it.
It's this weird, like, you ever play Mortal Kombat and you're not very good at it, so you just spam the same moves.
Heck yeah, man.
That's all Goldberg does now. It's just like, I do spear, I do jackhammer, and if that fails, I go back to spear. Like, Ah,
Yeah.
I'm not thrilled about the match quality. I'm just glad that they're doing the match, and I think, if I'm honest, this crowd is probably better for it than a Florida crowd for what would have been WrestleMania 36.
Yeah. And I guess I should say I'm glad we're getting this version of Reigns. I think it's a lot more interesting than what we would have gotten 2 years ago. Tonight Reigns said, beyond the Goldberg line, he said if WCW, it would still be in business if he was there because he's just that good. I thought that was kind of a fun line. Just what could have been, I guess. But it's interesting. Steven's saying it's cool to see Goldberg coming back. Doesn't see anybody beating Roman at this point. Nesh is saying don't hate Goldberg, but he wasn't really needed at this point. I mean, I will say I can understand where they're coming from. A very easy kind of big money Saudi Arabia match like this. Yeah, as I was saying, even if there's no real reason to believe, other than what you said, Robert, the fact that Goldberg has that pattern of success, you have to, it's just a good throwaway match in a way. Like these Saudi shows have always been kind of this, for the most part, this weird, almost out of continuity kind of thing where they just do these matches and you don't really think anything meaningful is going to happen. But sometimes they do. Sometimes, as I said, with Goldberg actually defeating the Fiend, you never know. But it will be a good card. Brian Everett saying Vince loading up the card, trying to get some of that Saudi money here. We know
he doesn't have to try to get some of it. He just gets it.
This is true. It's a signed contract. He's trying to earn it. Let's say he's trying to earn it.
They have the Saudi money. It's paid for show.
So they're doing Goldberg.
Oh, by the
Reigns?
way, did you see on Twitter that WWE? What? Do you see this thing on Twitter that like 5 or 6 superstars tweeted the same catchphrase of like,
I did.
WWE continues to change the world. Is this what we're doing? I digress. Go ahead.
No, man, I saw that. It's just like
that's so bad. That is so like you have to use this thing on Twitter. WWE continues to change the world. It's like, ugh.
Yeah, it's times are changing, man. Times are changing. Nowadays SmackDown's sponsored by Pizza Hut, so you get to find out what's on the menu like 10 minutes into the show.
We want pizza. Okay, go ahead.
It's just interesting times indeed. But we can dive into the other championship picture here with Charlotte Flair defending against Naomi tonight. In some ways, what was maybe set up to be kind of the short-term payoff for all the months of Naomi's suffering at the hands of Sonya Deville. Sonya Deville opened the show with a sling, courtesy of her beatdown from Ronda Rousey last week, saying that she wanted to suspend Rousey and fine her $100,000. Adam Pearce comes out and says he got an email from the chairman himself saying that Vince McMahon, apparently, if Vince McMahon hates one thing, Robert, it's WWE officials abusing their authority, ignoring the fact that he's done that many a time throughout his illustrious history.
I appreciate that. That's funny.
So, with that being said, he would not be allowing Sonya to suspend Ronda, and instead saying if Sonya got involved in the main event, her job would be in serious jeopardy.
Well, was her job ever explained? So here's we get into the dumbness of it. Was her job ever explained? Why is she authority? What qualifications does she have for this?
It seems like, I don't know what the word is for it, but she got kind of this advisory role. Maybe that's how she started out, where she got brought in as a superstar. She's like, she's got that perspective as someone that's been in the locker room, all this stuff, and maybe just wanted to kind of get into the business side of things. Works her way up, get some influence, and pull some strings. The corporate world works, and then lo and behold, a couple months pass, and she's booking matches on Raw and SmackDown. I mean, it's just, I don't know,
just how it works, huh?
Yeah, I guess in WWE these days, survival of the fittest, and she's survived. So the matter of I don't know.
All right, you've tried. I'm sorry I made you try.
I'm trying to explain it, but the fact is she has some power, but I guess not enough to override Vince McMahon himself. So that leads us to a clean.
Vince's own son doesn't have that power, am I right?
Oof. But I guess not. But now decided to develop, that leads into a interference-free main event. Charlotte Flair defending the SmackDown Women's title against Naomi. A very, very good match. That's just saying ladies were the match of the night. Brian saying the match tore the house down. He was pulling for Naomi. They did a couple of fun near falls. Naomi hit the review at one point. It looked like she really pushed Charlotte to her limit. But at the end of the day, Charlotte Flair, the Queen, reigns supreme. She retains the title. No ifs, no buts, just a clean old pinfall. After the match, Sonya comes into the ring and gloats, and Naomi attacked DeVille first. She and Charlotte proceeded to attack her. Ronda Rousey, Royal Rumble winner, runs to the ring, makes a save. Pretty naturally setting up a tag team match for Elimination Chamber. That seems like a pretty obvious direction at this point.
Like, good for Naomi, right? Because you wouldn't think, oh, Naomi and Ronda, that's a tag team that's going to happen on pay-per-view. Good for Naomi.
Get a bit of that spotlight, be a pretty big match, being there and tonight as well, being there with Charlotte Flair, and like you said, getting that rub from Ronda Rousey as well. For the match tonight, seems like it was a great match, wonderful. And he's wondering about that tag team match. I mean, I would think so. They are usually very, they're pretty obvious when they do stuff like that. So I feel like that's where they're going, and I imagine that'll be confirmed sooner rather than later. But yeah, I mean, one of those cases where it's a good match, and you can't really complain too much that she lost. And again, kind of like the Goldberg thing, they already announced Charlotte versus Ronda for WrestleMania, so there was no real reason to believe that Naomi would win anyway. But good performance, and hopefully she'll benefit from it long term. It is an interesting time when they've already announced the big WrestleMania matches, so anything in the meantime just feels. Again, I'm not trying to say like it's a waste of time, but it's just like it's predictable. It's like they're not gonna. Goldberg's one thing. I'm not trying to knock Naomi, but they're not like you could actually see Goldberg versus Brock Lesnar. They're not going to do Naomi versus Ronda Rousey for WrestleMania. That's sorry, I don't see it happen.
I mean, I'm not. Just go ahead. Go on.
Yep, that's all there is to it. But at the end of the day, I'm saying Naomi's getting a nice push. So again, hopefully it pans out. Otherwise, there's someone else, Robert, who's apparently getting a nice push. The Lethal Lovers, Los Lotharios, the newly named Lethal Lovers, Angel and Humberto. Oh,
why
boy.
is everything in WWE nowadays just like, how can we strip this of any kind of uniqueness, individuality? Like, what's wrong with the name Los Lotharios? Like, what's wrong with that name? It works better than the Lethal Lovers. Like, that sounds like, I don't know how to say Los Lotharios, so I'm gonna call you the Lethal Lovers. Ah?
Yeah. Yeah, that like they announced they referenced themselves as the Lethal Lovers backstage. Then the ring announcer said Lethal Lovers and Los Lotharios, so it seems like a nickname for their nickname. It's a little interesting, but nonetheless, they faced apparently they're not allowed to say the New Day, but Big E and Kofi Kingston, the 2/3 of the New Day as we know them.
You're not allowed to say the New Day?
I saw a report that Vince doesn't want them being that duo being called the New Day, because they're not technically the New Day.
That's kind of dumb.
Yeah.
I also read in that same report that Vince loves the New Day because he loves the magic they create. So
well, they create magic, Robert, but I thought that they could have had magic with Big E as a world champion, and it seems like they've missed the boat on that one at this point. It seems like he's back with Kofi, and they tried it out and it didn't go as well as they wanted.
No, I think objectively, I think his reign was worse than Kofi's. But I think he also had more working against him than Kofi did, because his reign started. It was like such an immediate ratings grab. Like you could feel like, oh, Raw ratings are down. We know we'll have this guy cash in his get out of jail free card, and that's what we'll do.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's disappointing. I thought that he did the best he could, and I thought Kofi did as well. I thought they both had good reigns, but not as good as they could have been. And now here we are, New Day back together, at least in this capacity. Woods supposedly will be back at some point soon. But Steven's asking, we saw Los Lotharios or Lethal Lovers pick up the win tonight with Angel rolling up Kofi. And now, this is a recurring question, but yet now it comes up here with the New Day being back together once again. Steven's saying, do we see a possible New Day split, possible heel turn? Kind of,
why? Why?
Why not embrace the power of friendship, my friends?
Can I ask that question? Like, what is it about friendship that you need to see friends betray friends? Why can't people just stay friends and do their own thing. And I want to hear that it's old. Yeah, I'll tell you what's the freshest thing they've done is not have these three men turn on each other.
Sometimes people stay friends, Robert, no matter what happens, no matter what up, downs, or whatever in between comes.
Yeah, like I'm sorry if people living their lives don't experience that level of friendship, but I promise, like people can stay friends despite differences, despite changes in life. People can stay friends.
And thankfully, that's what we've seen so far. And as admittedly, it's bittersweet. It's like having Kofi and Biggie back together. Yeah, they're great together. It's fun. And there's that magic they create together. And there's a layer to it of like these guys were world champions. They were at the top, and it didn't go as well as it could have. And there's just there's a layer of that. But as for the other member of New Day, Steven's asking if we have any word on when Xavier will return. I mean, reportedly he's off the unclear to compete list. So have to imagine that'll be.
He was on Attack of the Show. He was doing that on Tuesday.
There's doing G4 stuff. He's out there. He'll be back soon. I don't know.
He'll be doing a stream this Tuesday regarding the video game. I think he'll be back by Mania.
Yeah, I would have to think so. I thought I remember seeing he's been backstage. I thought he's been on the road at least at one point. So, as far as we know, good to go. It just not here yet.
No plans. They're probably really in a phase right now where we only want to use you if we have a definitive plan for you.
You bet. Perfect segue. That does be the case for several people. One of which is Xia Li. Xia Li she's been very irregularly featured since she got drafted to SmackDown. Since we had weeks and weeks of vignettes, and she debuted as the Protector. Hasn't done a whole lot of protecting, and we know she's been active at house shows. But tonight she came to the ring after Natalya defeated Aaliyah in the first Dungeon Rules match with Aaliyah and Natalya. Actually got a good amount of time. Natalya won with of course the sharpshooter. DJ right off the bat saying that Aaliyah should have won. I mean, I guess if they want to keep doing this and draw it out, Natalya's got to win at some point. So this makes sense. This literally is in her wheelhouse for the dungeon style. Aaliyah, it makes sense based on what the story they've been telling. Aaliyah winning via DQ, and I think there's also a count out at one point. But after the match, Natalya attacked Aaliyah. Xia Li makes the save, so hopefully this means that they actually might have a plan for Xia Li in this case, and with maybe longer term here. Steven's saying push Xia Li versus Charlotte would be a good match. I mean, I think we're a ways away from that, but I think down the road, yeah, why not? SmackDown needs like fresh blood, and they've got it. They just got to utilize it.
I agree that WWE needs fresh blood, right?
Yes.
I'm also of the opinion that like WrestleMania is not the time for experimentation. Not towards the top of the card, at least. Like WrestleMania, it's the one time of the year where I'm like, all right, if you want to play it as safe as humanly possible, like as not boring, but as repetitive as the story is, the story between Roman and Brock is the best thing the company is doing. And yeah, that's indicative of a lot of the problems the company has. But I also feel like I wouldn't want to see anything rushed just for the sake of, hey, we have a new thing going on.
Yeah, and in a way, that's why Roman and Brock, like there are pros and cons to doing the title versus title thing, but otherwise, I don't know what they would do for their WWE title. Like, let's say Lashley retains. I don't know they really have like a ready-made match kind of on that side of things. I know there have been kind of rumors and reports going around, Riddle maybe, or any other kind of things. But Roman and Brock does have that genuine star power that I think most other matches would lack. And that, I mean, depending on how it goes, as we were talking about for weeks and weeks now, potential title unification, maybe softening of the brand split, and who even knows what some of the consequences could be. But I do think, especially, I mean, I'm a fan of what they're doing here. I with Roman, Brock, Paul Heyman stuff, and the layers it has now with Heyman portraying Lesnar and everything, Lesnar being a face. Like, it's not the same as it has been. They are like telling it in an interesting way. Hopefully, they'll kind of continue to make it compelling as we head into WrestleMania here. We do have still quite a bit of time to go. and that's why it's kind of good to have something like the Goldberg match, not to contradict myself, but just kind of to keep us going in that sense. I mean, and the common ground they played during an interview with Goldberg and Lesnar being, they've had a rivalry there as well. I mean, it makes sense. So no, like you said, that is indicative of some maybe bigger problems in the short term. I'm okay with Roman and Lesnar.
But like I'm okay with Charlotte and Ronda too. I think it's dumb, right? Like I think the explanation of the match literally being I'm gonna fight you just to get under Becky's skin and not do that match. I think that's like the worst reason to have a WrestleMania match. But Charlotte and Ronda is a huge main event.
Yeah, and ironically, in a way, there's a weird like layer to that of long-term booking. There have been reports that they do want to do Becky and Ronda at WrestleMania 39. So
I'm of the opinion, and I'll just say this, and then we can move on. You should have learned by now, with all the releases that you've had, all the injuries, all the everything, that you do things when you can, and you do not wait, right?
yeah,
Like they never did horsewomen versus horsewomen, and now they likely never will.
right.
And
Right.
that's like they never did, Undisputed Era on main roster. They never did Bryan versus Edge one-on-one. Keith Lee never went anywhere because you think you have all the time in the world, and then you show life happens when you're busy making plans.
It's one of the most frustrating parts of being, I'll say, a wrestling fan. Not to say just WWE happens elsewhere as well, but here especially, as those examples you mentioned, and a number of other ones, all classic cases of what if, of what could have been. And I agree. Like anything can happen. WrestleMania 39 is. It seems silly to even like talk about it right now because it's so far away. Who even knows what could happen? Hope, knock on wood, everyone stays healthy and it's okay. But like,
Knock on wood, like at least the people at the top of the card still have spots in the company next year.
Right. I was going to say, health wise, hopefully they're not injured or anything. You never Bailey. Bailey went down with injury. Like these things happen. You can't like assume everyone's going to be available, ready to go, 100%. Let's say next January when they want to start that build. Like things are constantly changing, and they know that better than anybody because, as you said, Robert, they often do it intentionally. They intentionally.
And these two women specifically both left WWE for a bit to go start families. Who's to say that they don't just decide that they want to be a mother?
Right. It's always an option. It's always a possibility. And that's an important factor in all of this. One more thing about the Goldberg Roman stuff, because I do think it's kind of funny. It's kind of a fair question. What did Roman mean when he said he's going to Goldberg? Because the word Goldberg can have some different connotations, Robert.
He meant he's going to run right through. Oh, boy. He's going to run right through him and, hey, you think you can beat Brock Lesnar in a minute and 24 seconds? I'm going to beat you in a minute and 24 seconds.
That's what I thought it meant. But, of course, there are a lot of jokes to be made about Goldberg and a number of other things. Shout out to Jason Michael Campbell saying he has been dealing with some COVID and quarantine stuff lately. 3 positive COVID tests where he lives out in that neck of the woods. Jason, best wishes to you and yours. It's obviously it's a very scary time right now, but hang in there. Best wishes to you and stay safe as you can.
Thank you for always, tuning in and checking out. We hope you get there soon.
For sure, man. We appreciate you. You take care, and it's a scary time, but when in scary times, Robert, we come here and trying to enjoy the wrestling, but something that makes it a little hard to do. So when you got Drew McIntyre out there brandishing his big sword on a weekly basis, threatening a guy like Madcap Moss, who's just out there in the trainer's room trying to stay safe, trying to stay healthy. He's got this black eye at Drew McIntyre's hand, and he's trying to say, "Oh, I'm injured. I'm not ready to go." Obviously, he's trying to keep checking out of the match. Drew McIntyre shows up and says, "Oh, you're going to be in this match, but it's not just going to be any match. It's going to be a Falls Count Anywhere match." And Robert, to that I say, the babyface should never really want a match where anything can go, because in this case, Madcap Moss has a good old buddy Happy Corbin to stack the odds in his favor.
But I also think, alternatively, the argument is the babyface doesn't want the heel to run anywhere. He wants to just beat him up every place humanly possible. So he's going to call for a match like that.
You know, it sounds silly to say because I've been very, very critical of Madcap Moss for a while now, but McIntyre beat Madcap at day one. McIntyre eliminated Madcap and Happy Corbin from the Rumble and beat them down. McIntyre's gotten the better of them at every single point. So, in a way, silly as it may seem, like I feel like Madcap should get a win here because it's Fosco anywhere, because you can have, Happy Corbin interfere and whatnot. Because otherwise, like, what are we even doing here? Like, we're really just kind of spinning our wheels if Madcap doesn't get a win at all.
Right. I agree. And I think they want to spin their wheels because they don't have anything else for McIntyre, because I think they thought McIntyre would be a solid plan B for a world title match at Mania, and now maybe he just fights Corbin.
I think that's where we're going, which is fine. It'll be a good match.
Not fine. Like it's well, let me backtrack. It's fine, but it's very like it feels very old school WrestleMania to me, where it's like, and now Ted DiBiase is gonna fight British Beefcake. Why? Because we said so. Like,
Right.
that's it. Okay.
Because it's Drew McIntyre and because it's Happy Corbin, two guys that are, they're regular, stars on the main roster. Like, they're gonna be on the card, and at least in this case, it's not ideal, but at least they've been feuding, and hopefully they hold off on the singles match and don't like do it 10 times before WrestleMania. I don't trust them to do that, but at least if they do that, it'll be a little more interesting. I know we've seen this match before anyway, but in this iteration of Happy Corbin and whatnot, there's a way to get there and have it be kind of interesting. Or maybe Drew McIntyre can get a tag team partner and they can do that. I don't know. Like, there are ways they can kind of shake it up a little bit.
I wish Sheamus and McIntyre weren't enemies. I wish they could like team up for a bit. That'd be fun to watch.
WrestleMania is still 2 months away, or just under 2 months away. So you never know. I think that would be fun, but that does feel like where they're going. And speaking of somewhere I think they're going, I feel pretty safe in the prediction we are going to see Sami Zayn versus Johnny Knoxville at WrestleMania. Like, every sign on the wall feels like that's where they're heading.
I forget who said it was a one-off for Knoxville, but no, it feels like they need to do Knoxville, Sami Zayn at WrestleMania.
We had the red carpet thing.
Feels like a match they need to do.
Yeah, we had the red carpet thing. They had a clip today of Knoxville signing Zayn's merch in the, I guess that was the pop-up shop out in LA.
And they threw it in a wood chipper.
Yeah, they've had digital exclusives of Knoxville, and he even said in that video, it's like, I'm coming for Sami Zayn. Like, he's going down.
It's not over. Yeah, it's like, and I don't want to see it be Rick Boogs with the Jackass crew versus Sami Zayn for the IC title. No, I want to see like Knoxville. Maybe, I'm getting really into this idea lately, and maybe it's blasphemy coming from me, who's like a huge wrestling fan, but like maybe just give Knoxville the Intercontinental title. Like, there are worse things you can do. Like, we literally at the Royal Rumble, we didn't get to talk about this because we haven't been together, but we got to the final five where it was like Riddle, Brock, Shane, and
Bad Bunny. I think he was in the last couple.
I was like, you know what? If Bad Bunny's in the final four, just give it to Bad Bunny. You'll get a lot of press. Like, figure your way out of it later. But like, if all you care about is notoriety and numbers and social media engagement,
content, yeah,
and if you want to join the metaverse or whatever, like, Johnny Knoxville is IC champion. Cool. Take a picture. Sell it as an NFT. That seems to be the way this company is moving.
Yeah.
So it's like, fine, do that then. I don't care. I want to see Knoxville because he's fun. I want to see Jackass Forever. It looks fun.
Your mileage may vary, but I mean, it's interesting, right? You think that opens up a whole nother door to the consideration. Or not even consideration. I mean, it's pretty safe to say at this point, like, WWE is not a wrestling company. They haven't been for some time now. They're a content creation company, Robert. So
yeah, I think that's only started in like the pandemic years.
That's what I mean. Yeah,
for real. Like,
it's recent development for sure.
Yeah, like, they're just a content creation farm now, and it's like, whatever. Okay, I think Zayn, they missed the boat on him as a babyface.
Yeah.
But whatever, they enjoyed doing this.
And he's great as a
So
heel. He plays the role beautifully. Like
so
he's
let's
good.
let's get it. Last year it was Logan Paul. This year it's Johnny Knoxville. Sami Zayn is becoming a celebrity guy, which is so weird.
Yeah, but I mean, they're as a great wrestler, as a great character and performer. I think that's he's a very good kind of match in that case, in terms of having someone to play off of for Johnny Knoxville. For last year, you said Logan Paul. DJ's asking, maybe as you're talking about giving Bad Bunny the Rumble or anything, or with you said Knoxville maybe getting the IC title. DJ's saying, do we see Knoxville getting a part-time contract, kind of like Bad Bunny last year, where he was around pretty much on a weekly basis? Not right now. I mean, he's busy plugging the movie and everything, but I don't know.
I think you need to give him a contract. He's just Johnny Knoxville.
Yeah, and just bring him in a couple times from now to WrestleMania. I really think that's where we're going. Otherwise, again, why are we even doing this if you're not gonna pay it off?
If the payoff is literally like they're in the Andre and he eliminates him from the Andre. Like I don't care about that. Let's do a match here. Yeah. And it should be like a hardcore match too. Like it should be like, then Johnny Knoxville is gonna fall off the stage because I'm Johnny Knoxville, welcome to Jackass. Right? That's what I want to see.
Fine, it could be in the next Jackass movie. But you mentioned the IC title, and next week we will see Shinsuke Nakamura defend the title against Sami Zayn. Tonight we had Sami's talk show in Zayn with Shinsuke and Rick Boogs. And, it was interesting. Zayn thankfully acknowledged his history with Nakamura. They were in the Artist Collective together. So, credit for actually acknowledging history that dates back beyond, I guess that was probably about a little over a year ago at this point. But I always like when they do that, having, use the toys in the tool in the toy, almost the toolbox in the toy box. Use the history.
I thought you said toilet. I was like, I don't know any toys that go in the toilet. Anyway,
use the history that you've established. If you're creating all this content, use it to tell the better stories. Feel like, hey, we actually we go back. We have this history. We went our separate ways. Now we're coming back together as enemies. So thankfully, Zayn at least brought that up and said, you went from being with me to this meathead Rick Boogs. Rick Boogs took exception to that. He got upset. Wanted to grab the mic, and Zayn gimmicked the microphone so it literally electrified Rick Boogs, apparently, letting him leave Nakamura lying with a big boot, leading me to Steven's question: what if Sami Zayn wins the IC title next week? I 100% think he should. Whatever or not happens with Johnny Knoxville, Zayn deserves that title 100%. I know Nakamura was hurt, but it's time.
News, as first reported by Fightful Select, it will be the team of Naomi and Ronda Rousey against Charlotte Flair and Sonya Deville at the WWE Elimination Chamber event in Saudi Arabia. They officially announced that? They just announced that 2 seconds ago. I get immediate notifications anytime they do anything. That's why I'm a very on-edge person. But anyway, that's cool. Again, good for Naomi. She deserves this. 3 women's matches in Saudi.
That's pretty cool.
That's that any way you slice it, that is something. 3 women's matches on any card is something. 3 women's matches of significance on any card is great. So good for them.
Yeah, none of these are a pre-show match by any means. You got a Raw Women's Chamber match, first time ever happening in Saudi Arabia. You've got Becky versus Lita. Big dream match there. And now Steven DJ asking what they announced. It was, Robert just said, officially Ronda Rousey and Naomi versus Charlotte Flair and Sonya Deville at Elimination Chamber next Saturday.
As first reported by FightfulSelect.com. Subscribe today.
So no, that's good, I think, for everybody involved. Ronda, big name. Sonya Deville being back in the ring a little bit. I thought it was interesting to circle back. And tonight we had that kind of teaser at the beginning where if she interfered in the title match, her job would be in serious jeopardy. And I kind of thought, what if she can't help herself and she does interfere, and then she kind of gets quote unquote fired from her
right, and then we could move on and she could just be a wrestler.
Yes,
that would have been good.
But they did not do that. But hopefully that's still coming at some point. Hopefully she'll be back kind of full time sooner rather than later. The SmackDown division needs her. Would be better with her. I mean, they need more people on a full-time basis. So hopefully they do that anyway. Seems pretty obvious that Ronda and Naomi would win that one, but I think it'll be a good match. Hopefully someone actually wrestles. We've seen them do this kind of, will they, won't they kind of thing with Sonya returning to the ring, and she always kind of chickens out. She had a match with Naomi, but otherwise, definitely on a very limited basis for the most part. So hopefully this leads to more, but cool, and that leads us to, that's another big match for Elimination Chamber. Steven's saying it's shaping up to be a good show. Brian's saying can't wait for Chamber. This and Crown Jewel, they're really like loading up these Saudi shows lately. So, that's good. I mean, there was a time not so long ago, as I mentioned, they were just kind of these weird, I guess again, out of continuity events, or like they're just these either dream matches or like kind of inconsequential matches. Now we're actually getting things that are playing into what we're seeing on Raw and SmackDown. So it actually is not, well, I guess now the words premium live event, but they matter, right? They're actually meaningful. They have stakes and whatnot. So that is good. So I think it will be a very fun show. That'll be next Saturday. We'll have one more SmackDown ahead of that next week on Friday. They're taping that, I think, right now, or at least they were tonight, I think. But that'll be fun. We'll be the IC title. We know that we're gonna have Goldberg and Roman Reigns face to face. I presumably a bunch more good stuff, but should be a good show heading into Saudi here. So Robert, with all that being said, what did you think about SmackDown tonight?
A solid 7.
Yeah.
Nothing special, but I'm also not like, oh, I hate this show so much. I'm just very indifferent.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. I think I would go with 7 as well. Some good matches. I like the Roman interview, but nothing groundbreaking and nothing absolutely horrible either. Steven with a 6. I as I often joke on the NXT side of things, like, I don't actively dislike watching this show. So like, as long as we're above that bar, I mean, we're doing pretty well. So I think a 7 is pretty fair. But yeah, we're riding right into Elimination Chamber. The road to WrestleMania continues. Brian giving it a 7 as well. So no, not a bad show. I mean, there was a time not too long ago when we were pretty regularly at like a 7.5 for SmackDown. Maybe not quite at that level. DJ was 7.7, so again, your mileage may vary, but no, not a bad show. Not a bad show. So I'm thinking next week will be good as well. I bet Nakamura and Zayn will be very good. Then we've got Elimination Chamber. That one's going to be very good as well. And Jathan was 7.5, so looks like we're all in relative agreement on that one. But with that being said, Robert, that about does it. I don't think there's GCW next. No, there's not GCW next week. Next week, so we're good. We'll be back here on Friday to talk about that SmackDown right before Elimination Chamber. John and I will be here. Actually, no, I'm going on a little trip on Monday, taking a little reprieve. So I'll not be here on Monday or Tuesday, but we'll be back here on Friday to talk about Friday at SmackDown. And otherwise, we've got a great stream of interviews constantly coming out, you guys. I interviewed the voice of Ring of Honor, Ian Riccaboni. That one up today. Make sure to check that out. We've got tons of interviews, one with Mickey James and Moose coming up, all this fun stuff and more. So make sure to leave a like and subscribe. We appreciate you and all your support for coming to talk about the wild world of wrestling with us. Robert, you want to do what you do and plug all the wild stuff you're doing?
Oh, yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah. Follow me everywhere at DeFelice. Check out Fightful.com. Check out Fightful Select. Sean really did break the news about the upcoming tag team match at Elimination Chamber. He's always working very hard to get the latest and greatest scoops in the world of wrestling. So if you are a fan, go ahead and check all that out. And yeah, just continue supporting WrestleZone. WrestleZone is such a really great website. It bridges the gap between original content and aggregation so well. And not a lot of sites do that as successfully as we do. So yeah, just keep supporting.
Couldn't agree more. Obviously, I'm very biased, but DJ, yes, I will be going on a trip Monday and Tuesday. A much needed just a little trip away. I literally work pretty much all day, every day, covering the world of wrestling.
Same,
so
bro.
I quite literally
bro.
The opportunity came up. I took the chance to say, hey, I'm going to take a little time to come back refreshed and get right back to the grind. So I might, because NXT's Vengeance Day, I might do a show on Wednesday. Schedule permitting, I might be a little tight. But
you mean to tell me that you don't have anything, that you have something better to do on the day after Valentine's Day than watch NXT Vengeance Day? I mean,
It's gonna be a good show, Robert. I'm an outspoken critic of NXT 2.0, but Vengeance Day actually looks like a good card, so I'm sure it'll be a
doing
great show.
weaponized cage match. I mean, you have nothing better. You have something better to do than watch Tony D'Angelo in a weaponized cage. I question your loyalty, Colin.
Now, if they officially added Dolph Ziggler to the card, that might sway.
Yeah, I did think we would get Ziggler and Ciampa or something.
But
I
am a little sad to miss it. It's going to be a good show.
I mean, it's not like you can't go back and watch it. I'm sure you'll catch up.
Yeah, but like I said, gonna take some much needed time, come back fresh, right back to it. We'll work here on Friday, talk about Friday Night SmackDown. And with that being said, Robert, as we mentioned earlier, the world's a very scary place, but we try to do one thing above all others here at WrestleZone, and can you tell me what that is?
Enjoy wrestling.
Indeed. Thanks for listening, everybody.